We're live.
All right, good morning, everyone. This is the first meeting of a committee of conference between House Government Operations and Senate Government Operations pertaining S.23. This is the bill relating and act relating to the use of synthetic media in elections. And I'd like to thank the senators for joining us since it was the House that called for the committee of conference. First off, I know it's been a very, very long haul with this bill. Everybody's put a lot of work on it. I was going back and just looking at the record of action for the committee work on the bill itself in both of our chambers, and it was definitely an extensive run through. And it was good, at least for me, to like see sort of a little refresher on the amount of work that has gone into this. I want to like say that first and foremost to be like very respectful of all of that work that's gone in. I guess since this is committee of conference, we are on YouTube. We might as well go around and introduce ourselves real quick, just for the record. Representative Beth Byron, Chair of House Government Operations and Military Affairs. And I am, per rules, the chair of this committee of conference.
Representative Lisa Hango from Franklin 5, and I'm vice chair of this committee.
Senator Tanya Vyhovsky, Chittenden Central, and I am vice chair of the Senate Government Operations Committee.
Shane Waters-Evans from Charlotte and Heinsberg, Chittenden 5, ranking member of House Government Operations and Military Affairs.
Senator Brian Collmore representing the Rutland District.
Senator John Morley, Orleans District.
Right. Well, good to see everybody, and thank you for coming in early on a Tuesday to start the week off to get this ball rolling. If it's amenable to the committee, I would like to start with just a run through on what was changed, how it was changed, and just sort of a legal analysis with counsel, if that's good with you.
Yeah.
Counsel, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Rick Sable, Office of Legislative Counsel, and I can share the side-by-side that I created for the House Committee.
Yeah, please do.
So, was it last week, 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
I sent a request for sharing, Nick. So you should have the document in front of you. It's at the very top. It says S.23 Senate Proposal Amendment on the left. On the right side, it says S.23 as passed by the House. Okay, and I'll share it so the world can see what we all see. So I've explained this in this committee, House Committee, last time, but just to kind of reiterate, the way I color code and the way I chose the language here. On the left side is the Senate version, which was the last chamber to have the bill. Words in green were added by the Senate. Words in yellow were changed by the Senate. On the right side, you have the as passed by the House version. The yellow words, again, were changed by the Senate. The red phrases or words were removed by the Senate in their proposal of amendment. I'm only including language in this spreadsheet that was actually amended by the Senate. The rest of the bill is much longer, but is not included in the spreadsheet. So the Senate focused on the definitions. There are two definitions in this bill: deceptive, fraudulent, synthetic media, and synthetic media. The Senate, as it pertains to the definition 1, deceptive and fraudulent synthetic media, really changed it from media that depicts a political candidate to an individual. And the way it reads is deceptive and fraudulent synthetic media means synthetic media that appears to a reasonable person, no changes yet, to be a realistic instead of authentic. So one change there from authentic to realistic. Representation of an individual, the House had political candidate, that does any of the following. And that last phrase was new language. A, injures the reputation of a political candidate. The House version had that, but it was not worded the same way. Or attempts to unduly influence the outcome of an election added language, including a public question by providing materially false information to voters. The second definition, the only change was the word individual was replaced, political candidate, was replaced by individual to match the definition of deceptive and fraudulent synthetic media. And at the very end, the House version had a kind of narrow exception without the consent of the candidate. So in the House version, the candidate could consent to an AI video that was deceptive and fraudulent. In the Senate version, that exception was removed. There's no longer any consent permitted by the political candidate. Any questions about those two definitions?
Senator CoC.
Yes, I just want to make sure the candidate can still consent to fraudulent media. They would just have to include the disclosure. They
Right.
can still do it.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
that was my question.
Gotcha. So
Can you explain the difference in this context of between authentic and realistic?
In this context, so when you look at the start of the definition, appears to a reasonable person to be a realistic representation. Real versus authentic. Real is kind of more of a that looks real. That looks like it's not fake. It's a real video of this person saying this thing, doing this thing. Authentic, I think some people think that it was created by that this person authenticated this video. They looked at it, they stamped it. There's not a huge difference to me, but there is a difference, I think, in the word itself that realistic is more of a general term that this looks real compared to this is authentic. This is some kind of unique thing that this person approved or they saw it and they're like, this video I approve of. I think that could be seen differently, that word.
I guess. Do you think original would be a synonym of authentic in this case? I think I know what you're getting at, but like when you say created by this person, like it's, I don't know.
I might be able to help
Thank you.
if you're amenable to that.
It's always.
Right, there you go.
Rick, would you say that realistic versus authentic is realistic is the perception by everybody else and authentic is the having been created by that one? Authentic refers to the originator of the media. So realistic is the perception
Right.
of everybody else, of everyone else, of that creation, and authentic is pertaining to the originator of it.
That's kind of what I was getting at, but maybe we need a dictionary to really determine the exact how Merriam-Webster's defines them. Because legally, I don't think there is a legal issue here.
Okay.
But I think, you're right, but I think
Yeah.
vocabulary wise, if you really want to know, they're not the same word, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to know the exact difference, I think it would be helpful to consult a dictionary and determine is authentic more about the creators? This is authenticated by, I also think about, baseball cards are authenticated by an agency. They determine this is a real baseball card, right? It's not a fake or a coin. This is an authentic coin. So that's not always the creator authenticating. It's like an expert who looks at it like, yeah, this is an 1875 coin or whatever it is. So I think we should consult a dictionary
Yeah.
and determine the difference between the two words.
Yes, and now is probably not the time for it, but at some point I would love to know the reason for the change, but I understand we're just doing the definitions right now.
Senator Mahosky, and I would like to note I'm 2 for 2 on not calling you a representative.
I appreciate that.
No.
So As I read it, because of the lead-in language, both of them are about perception, because it is about the perception and appearance to a reasonable person. But I did Google it. Realistic refers to how closely something mirrors real life, logic, physics, and objective, tangible reality. Authentic means being true to the original, possessing high credibility, or faithfully representing the spirit, tone, and character of a subject, even if it is not technically realistic. So something could be authentic and not realistic.
Right. And something could be realistic and not
Right.
authentic. Got it. Okay.
You are correct, Senator, about the intro language. It's how the person views it. And I don't know if a court is going to get tripped up by this word and the difference between the two, but yeah, they are different. And I think it'd be a choice, policy choice of how you want to phrase this, quite honestly.
As I go a little further down, it says realistic is the fidelity to the facts, whereas authentic is faithfulness to the spirit.
I like that. Breakdown of the two words, I think that's like really concise to how the two are utilized as a linguistic tool.
Okay.
Rectangle, still got a hand?
I was thinking, this may not be the time to say this, but I actually like realistic versus authentic when it comes to the reason behind this bill. But let's just put that in a box for now.
Senator Gal.
Thank you. In the spirit of trying to move this along, does it muddy anything legally if we said realistic or authentic?
I think it would cover potentially that 0.2% more, right? If someone argues this is not realistic, but it's authentic, then that may fit that or. So I don't think it muddies it. I think it is it necessary. I also don't know the answer to that question. It's up to you all. But I don't think it muddies it now.
Senator Bosky.
When I think about, the sort of material false aspect, and really about the facts, realistic makes more sense to me because something could be a lie, but authentically created. Like I made it, it's still a lie.
It's legit. It's not a fabrication of the machines.
Right.
Yes.
But realistic sort of gets at fidelity to the facts, which is sort of in our definition as well, that materially false. So I think it fits more with what we're trying to do here.
Okay. It was just a suggestion.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. And, and I mean, I guess like with to the concept of the the question is like, and this is for us to decide, does it help or hinder an illegal challenge? Right? Does it muddy it, murk it, and make it less clear? If somebody is challenging what we're gonna, I presume, send to the governor's desk to become law. So, and I just think for me personally, this being the first statute, the first thing teed up to become law in the entire realm of AI, that I personally want to make sure this is as iron tight to a challenge as possible, because I would not like to see the first thing we put in statute be challenged and be found. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for this point? Council.
And I do have one grammatical suggestion. Sorry to load you up. I think that does any of the following should be either of the following if we want to be grammatically correct. There's not really a change to the that. So I would recommend the committee consider if we're going to change the definition to that does either of the following. Something I didn't catch the first time.
Where are you at? Sorry.
We're still discussing the authentic and realistic.
The
So it would
green,
be either of the following authentic
Yes.
Okay.
or.
It's hard to read with the dark green.
Yeah.
If that gets changed to either, would it preclude both of those things? Okay, so it could do both of the following.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, it wouldn't matter, right? If it does both, it doesn't mean it's not deceptive and fraudulent. Okay. So any questions about A and B? Can I move on to? I think we got through that.
Yes, well,
We need it
at least for the
first
tip.
sentence.
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. All right. Then we have, again, number 2, we went through that, removing without the consent of the candidate. Okay, on the second row, I'll call it 2032, the disclosure of a deceptive and fraudulent synthetic media. So as I mentioned last time, there was a floor amendment to the actual disclosure, which is at the bottom of that first paragraph. On the Senate side, you see this media has been intentionally manipulated by digital technology or artificial intelligence. The as passed by House read as this media has been created or intentionally manipulated by digital technology or artificial intelligence. There was a floor amendment that language was a bit confusing. And the decision was made to strike those two words, created or. I have some, if you want to talk about this, I do have some other examples of other states, how they worded this, if you're curious. Most states have done this. At exact disclosure, including the created or. But I understand you don't want to go with that. So we have other options if you care to, when we get there, if you care to see those other options, just to compare what other states have done.
I would very much be open to that.
Should I do that now?
Yes.
Okay.
We're all here. Let's do it.
So it's from the NCSL website, which is a great resource. Okay, those are the joint rules. Okay, so this is New Hampshire, and we talk about New Hampshire a lot because New Hampshire had the Joe Biden robocall. So they have their structured a little bit differently. And I just highlighted the part that is the disclaimer. This blank, and it's either image, audio, or video, has been manipulated or generated by artificial intelligence technology and depicts speech or conduct that did not occur.
Like that.
I like that.
Read that to me one more time.
So this, and then you'd fill in, we don't have to do it this, I think you could just put media, but they have it separated out. This image, video, audio has been manipulated or generated by artificial intelligence technology and depicts speech or conduct that did not occur.
Okay. That's pretty concise too. Yeah.
It gets at the deceptiveness point that
Mhm.
you brought up.
Uh-huh.
From Senator Pershing, right?
I like that.
Let's definitely flag that for further review and discussion.
Just confirm this is New Hampshire. Yes.
And that would replace that sentence at the end of the paragraph on 2032.
Right.
Okay. I like it too.
Okay, then I have,
Says what we're trying to get at.
It really is. That's why I was like, wow, that's concise and just really to the.
this is a Colorado. Similar, this image, audio, video, multimedia has been edited and depicts speech or conduct that falsely appears to be authentic or truthful.
One more time, sir. I feel like I'm at the eye doctor. I'm like 1 and 2.
That's wording.
Two. This image, audio, video, multimedia has been edited and depicts speech or conduct that falsely appears to be authentic or truthful.
Nah.
I think it says the same thing, but it's way more word salad.
And edited is not the same as created.
Correct.
It doesn't match this bill quite as well as the
Yeah.
New Hampshire bill. Okay,
Yeah. Okay. We're back to 1.
Thanks for the examples.
sure. I have one more.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
The eye doctors really give you 3.
I love a good trifecta.
This is California. And theirs is very, very brief. This blank has been manipulated and is not authentic. And it would be the same image, audio, video.
Mm-mm.
I like our New Hampshire.
I do too.
Yeah. And I mean, like, as much, it absolutely yes to the language itself being more amenable, but also I think it's good that we're kind of like leaning into a neighbor on this too for like continuity within the region.
Mhm.
I think that helps also.
I'm ready to move that we,
For our cross-border consultancies out there.
that we strike what is in both sections or both versions and replace it with what is the New Hampshire statute.
So can we structure this? You know, they have theirs where you fill in the blank.
Oh.
The S.23 currently has this media.
Hmm.
You want it to be, tell me what you want. Because right now, it would just need to be done in a different way.
I got Hango, then Waters Evans.
So media, definition of media is image, video, audio, anything else, Rick?
To me, yes, media, again, this is not a legal thing, but yeah, to me, media is image, video, audio. Audio is maybe not, maybe Senator Colin Moore might be able to, would media, audio be considered media?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
because it's radio.
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
Stereo,
I've got to stop, you and I.
yeah. And we've defined it up above in 2031.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we need to differentiate.
I don't think so.
I mean, you could put it in, I guess, Rick, you could put this image. What is the definition? Audio recording or video recording.
Just put commas beside them and.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, so what Colorado did, I know you didn't like the overall, but they have theirs, the user, it's implied that the user would have to choose one of those four.
Okay. In parentheses?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not my favorite.
Yeah.
Because you're putting in quotes and
But we could structure the language differently to say the same thing, correct?
we could.
Yeah. Rep. Waters Evans, then I got Senator Bahasi.
I like just using the word media because, you know, who would have thought 10 years ago that we would even be dealing with this kind of thing? And I think that the word media can encompass a variety of things, or if we're constraining it to an image or video or audio. I don't know, what if there's like a chip in your brain with holograms at some point that might not be covered in it? If we say those things, I know. it's-
Neuralink.
Well, you know what I mean? But anyway, I feel like the word media really covers a broader base and can be applied to other things. So I like that best. And also, I really like the New Hampshire one because it's really straightforward and to the point. It did not occur. We don't have to worry about realistic or authentic or false or not false or whatever it is. It's just, it didn't happen. I like it.
Okay.
Senator.
Same, and I Googled
You got
media.
a same Z's out of
I Googled media and it does include radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
And that definition of media exists in other sections of law? Are we cross-referencing it?
No, we got it up above.
Yeah, just within that.
Well,
structure?
we have synthetic media, which includes image, audio. I mean, I tend to agree that it's clearly implied that media would include audio, since synthetic media.
I think that's what I'm trying to get at is like the application of that word, but synthetic speaks to all of the media buckets that could be synthesized.
When I think if they're, generally speaking, when there's not a legal definition, we revert to the dictionary definition. The dictionary definition includes everything we're talking about.
I mean, and just in some ways, just what the common use of the word is, you know, which I think that's why I asked, does radio, that's the one I wasn't sure about, is radio media, but yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
pretty well established.
Representative Hancock.
So we still have an outstanding question on this 2032A disclosure, and that would be the removal of stated or.
Yes.
Right.
But before we jump into that bucket, I
I
just want
just wanted to know.
Yep. I just want to confirm with council and the committee that we are moving forward with a restructure of language for him to present to us, built upon primarily the New Hampshire statute. All right. Cool.
So that might solve that problem, right?
It does.
It might roll
Yeah.
into it.
Or it might,
It's going to replace that entire bit
Yeah.
and solve it.
so.
Yeah, so at that point, the bottom of the disclaimer, yes, that would fix that disagreement between the two.
Waters Evans?
We're good. Thank you.
We're good. Okay.
And then the other part that was amended by the Senate was the inclusivity in the actual disclaimers and making the disclaimers. The Senate added a couple of inclusive lines. So for deceptive and fraudulent synthetic media, images, video recordings, the text of the disclosure shall appear in a size. This is the bottom of page 1.
Yep.
Shall appear in a size that is easily readable by the average viewer and inclusive to the greatest extent possible of individuals with disabilities. On the second page, for deceptive and fraudulent synthetic media consisting of audio recordings only, the disclosure shall be read in a clearly spoken manner and in a pitch and pace that can be easily heard by the average listener and inclusive to the greatest extent possible of individuals with disabilities. So again, the green was added, nothing was removed
Nothing is
by the Senate, correct?
Waters.
just to talk about later, I'm wondering, because we're saying for the video recordings, the disclosure shall appear for the full duration of the video recording. I'm wondering if we have an audio component of this, if we maybe, and I'm just thinking this through right now as I'm saying it, but maybe it's said at the beginning and at the end.
What's that?
Oh, it's there.
It does say.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because,
Yep.
yeah, it's in that. It's the same.
And actually,
Okay.
if it's longer than 2 minutes,
Okay,
somehow there's
At intervals,
interspersed
okay.
within a warning or.
okay. All right, sorry, I missed that
Well-
part. I just got worried.
Just to clarify, that's only for audio recordings.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
So video would not have that. It would,
Well, so video, it says the disclosure shall appear for the full duration of the video.
Yeah,
yeah,
Whereas you have that 2 minute sort of timeline, where you would have to
Right.
engage with the disclaimer, disclosure once it hits a 2 minute point.
Right, because you can't have the audio go for the whole time or you miss the audio.
right.
It becomes very confusing.
it's a lie. It's a lie.
That's the way,
I think that's very inclusive. I can't imagine.
I believe it would be, did not occur.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
So it sounds like we're finding the 2032,
Mhm.
both 1 and 2 to be amenable with the change as proposed by the Senate. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
there it goes.
The peg we're trying to square right now is to see what the language looks like on our agreeable position that we build it off of the New Hampshire structure. I'm seeing nothing but like nodding heads and
Yeah.
positive body. Okay, cool.
I think we can take care of section 2032 today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, section 2032, as far as that, the committee finds it favorable.
Mhm.
So just I guess I'm going to look to the members who have done more committee conference here. Is this just like a straw poll thumbs up?
You can do it that way, yeah. In the end, we're gonna have to sign a,
Correct. Yeah. But I'm saying just for this exercise right
Mhm.
now, I just want to make sure I'm procedurally
Yeah.
doing the like process right. I'm processing the process correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. So, section 2032, 1 and 2. You're agreeing on that Senate proposal of amendment, correct?
Mhm.
with the added provision for the New Hampshire version of the
That's
Third.
description.
that's the third instance of amendment.
yeah, and I'm grateful to the Senate for coming up with that in the amendment. It's important. And I'm appreciative that you thought about it.
Senator Colliner,
most certainly.
Certainly,
since you've probably been on more committees of conference than me, is it your understanding that a majority of each chamber represented in this committee of conference has to sign on? So 2 from the Senate, 2 from the House?
I don't believe so,
Okay.
but Rick's nodding yes.
I got
No.
to
I thought if the final vote was 4-2, well, I guess that would imply that one of the chambers was unanimous. I'm trying to think if,
You need 2 from each.
you do.
That's what
Thank
we
you.
were leaning towards, is
Okay.
our
I
understanding.
just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify that. So
I don't think that was a flag of discontent. I think that was actually just
No, no, no.
like a procedural.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Yeah. Okay, so that part's agreeable.
Mhm.
And then moving forward with the word of the language.
I think it would be good to see what we've suggested for 2031 and what we agreed on for
Yes.
2032 in writing.
Yes. That was my hope. What is a turnaround time on language, council?
So for 2032, won't take me long because you're acceding to the Senate's proposal, meaning you're reaching 1 and 2. To number 3, you are asking the Senate to recede from their third instance, and you're proposing new. This is the disclaimer language. Then for the first instance of amendment, I don't quite know yet what you want to do. So I can certainly type up a kind of half report that, but you wouldn't sign it.
No. So
There's no
let's,
point.
Straw poll is fine, for that part of the report, if you'd like.
Rep, hang on.
Rick, we are going to see in the next version, the first green phrase change to that does either of the following.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Rossi.
I also, and I don't know that we straw polled it, but I feel like the majority felt realistic made more sense than authentic, given that it pertains to the facts.
I have a star next to that word on my notes.
Okay, I circled it.
Dog ear and the same. Yes. So the either
Mhm.
and the realistic
Mhm.
seems to be amenable. All right. Rep, hang on.
So I think one of the outstanding, looks like there's two outstanding items. We didn't talk about including the public question, but the big outstanding item is the change from political candidate to individual.
Yep.
Am I correct, Rick?
Yes. Correct. So public question and then the individual to the candidate. All right. So open up the thought bubble. Do you actually, council, do you have anything to discuss within that you didn't discuss before, or is this on us now?
I think this is on you, really. I think if you have questions, I'm here, but yeah.
Yes. I had Waters Evans first, then I had Hango.
I wanted to start with saying, I think that including a public question, I think is a good idea and I'm amenable to that. Because the point is to make sure people aren't being falsely given information about a vote and about an election. So I feel like many elections do include a public question, not just a candidate. So I'm cool with that language, with including the public question is fine with me. You know, the other part, the political candidate versus an individual, I feel pretty strongly that we should limit it to political candidate this time, and public question, I guess, is the other thing we limit it to. I'm not. The crux of it for the House committee, at least, was that we were concerned about freedom of speech and not limiting people's rights, you know, to parody, to satire, to you know, expressing their opinions. And I think it's tricky in this context because many, if most all political ads are, the intent is to influence the way somebody votes. So it's more about, you know, I feel like what we are trying to do is not limit free speech. And I feel like in a weird way, like saying any individual might inadvertently do that. And make things so much less clear that it's not a law that can, you know, withstand further scrutiny. And I don't think in this political climate and the way things are now, no matter, you know, what the politics are, there's an executive order that's trying to limit states from doing this in the first place. And I feel like we need to come up with something that's really sound and defensible. And my preference is to not change it to individual.
Did you have a hand up first?
I had
Representative?
a hand, but I'll wait for Senator
Okay.
Husky because my hand was half-hearted.
That's exactly why I asked you for clarification on the intent of your hand gesture. Yes, Senator
Yeah.
Mahosky.
So the bill later does include a very clear exception for parody and satire. And my concern with limiting it to political candidates, and this is an example that came up in our committee, is say, for example, Senator Sanders is not on the ballot. He's not a political candidate. Someone could create an AI video materially false, something he said or did in support of another candidate or in opposition to another candidate, and it would not be captured. An example that came up a bunch is, you know, someone could utilize a very famous celebrity. I think we used Arnold Schwarzenegger in our conversations to be spreading materially false information about an election. And that still may have sway with voters, even though it is not the candidate. And so we felt quite strongly in the space of protecting elections, that the exception for satire and parody and the limit to it around the election with the materially false addition narrowed it in such a way that captured what we wanted without fundamentally limiting everyone's free speech.
Rebecca.
Now it's not half-hearted. Thank you for explaining where you were coming from in the Senate with that. I feel that in both the Senator Sanders and Arnold Schwarzenegger incident, examples.
Jeez, yes.
Yeah, they both would influence, both of those examples would influence either the outcome of an election for a political candidate or the outcome of an election for a public question. It doesn't matter who is saying it, who is depicted doing it. It still would influence the election and of something. And that's what we're getting at with this bill. So I don't think that we need to limit who is speaking or writing or doing something, because it's all going to be finable if it's trying to unduly affect the outcome of an election or anything. Does that make sense?
And that was what we were trying to get at with our definition, was not limiting it to the candidate that says it, but trying to define and limit based on what it is the individual is doing.
So I think in your example, you're talking about the originator, and what I envision the bill as is the outcome. So it's an originator versus an outcome again. And I would like to see the originator be not I would just like to see the outcome of the election addressed in this bill rather than who is doing the.
So it's like
perpetrating
what's
act.
being engaged with, not those doing the engagement.
Yes.
Gotcha. Did I see a representative?
Okay, so I don't know how we can fix the language to make that agreement happen. But it just, to me, doesn't seem like the word individual here.
We have waters as it is town. We'll go back to that.
Well, okay, so I have multiple thoughts about this. And the first is, I don't know if, so if we use kind of as our example that we've been using since the beginning of this robocall from Joe Biden, who was saying, don't go vote tomorrow. And it, was manipulated to sound like him. He was the candidate. He was saying, don't go vote. He was trying to unduly, or not him, but the creator of this media, the media itself was trying to unduly influence the outcome of an election. To me, if it's an election, Bernie Sanders isn't in it. Arnold isn't in it. I think it comes down to the word unduly, which means I don't think if either of those people are a candidate, I don't think a call from Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to unduly influence the outcome of an election, or a video of him saying, don't go vote tomorrow, if he's not, he's not part of that election. You know what I mean? It's because that's not a thing. It's different to me. The intent of that video is different from the candidate saying, don't go vote tomorrow, as opposed to Bernie Sanders saying, don't go vote tomorrow, if Bernie isn't directly involved in that election. I think that removes it from that definition that we had talked about unduly influencing the election. And so that's why I hesitate to add any individual, because then you're starting to get into this territory. And I don't like banning things. And it seems like it's getting to this point of banning a lot of stuff, of trying to limit it because we don't like it or because it's not true, when really what we're trying to do is have like a really strict, in my mind, or what I'm trying to do, I should say, a really strict version of, we are trying to prevent this sort of media from unduly influencing the outcome of an election. And I think once we open that question up to other people, then it's not clear. I wouldn't, if I were just a random voter and there was an election tomorrow and the election was between me and Rep. Byrong and Bernie called and said, don't vote for Rep. Byrong, I might be like, okay, well, Bernie likes him. Or Bernie doesn't like him and I like Bernie, so I'm not going to vote for him. But what if I hated Bernie and he said, don't vote for Rep. Byrong, then I would maybe go out and vote for him. Like the outcome of that isn't certain.
So I don't mean to jump in
No, I want you to jump in.
with both feet.
Yes.
So here's another example that maybe, I think in the Senate, we didn't use this as an example, but I think it applies. Let's say Taylor Swift supposedly created,
Mhm.
and the thing said, hey, the South Burlington ballot for a bond vote on a brand new pool is horrible and you should vote no on that. And by the way, the election is tomorrow.
I'm never gonna play that arena you're building in South Burlington. Yes, I gotcha.
So that's where we were then.
Yeah,
It's a completely divorced person from politics.
yeah.
As far as I know, Taylor Swift is not a political candidate anywhere, but she is attempting, or whoever creates that, to unduly affect a public election by giving the wrong date, first of all, but also showing whatever support people might feel for her into something that, I don't know, that's why we, I think, expanded it. And with all due respect to our ledge council, I understand, and I think the Senate did, that it does, I think Rick uses the term squishy, it does get a little bit squishier in terms of a potential legal challenge, but that's where we were. That's all I'll say.
So I've got a couple things. One, this bans nothing. There's no ban, no
True.
matter what language we use. Two, the example you just used with Bernie saying, don't vote for Matt Byrong wouldn't actually be covered by this because it's not materially false. Bernie would have to say Matt Byrong is a monkey.
Oh, okay. Is it my
And he's clearly not a monkey.
Yes.
Like, so your example wouldn't be covered by this, because it wouldn't meet the materially false aspect. Like it has.
Okay, so my example wasn't good, so I didn't give a good example. I was speaking off the cuff, but do you know, like, okay, so if he said that. Okay, anyway, sorry.
And
Yeah.
and I think that when we start talking about a public question, who's the candidate? Would it only be a candidate that can lie about a public question using AI, or would it, and I think we do have to take into account that there are a lot of people who have a lot of sway, whether or not they're on the ballot. I think that frankly, if Bernie Sanders called a bunch of Vermonters and said, or AI called a bunch of Vermonters and said the election is in December, don't go vote in November, a lot of people would take that simply because of the public trust that he has. I think that if, there's a lot, Taylor Swift, like I will never come play at that. Like that did not happen. So I think that the way we tried to narrow it was by making sure that whatever was said was materially false, meaning it can't be an opinion. It can't be this AI individual saying, oh, I like this person or I don't like this person, because that's an opinion. It is not materially, it needs to be factually not true. And there was another point that I had and I have lost my notes. But I think the public question is really sort of like, it isn't included if we limit it to a political candidate, because there is no political candidate on a public question. It would have to be.
It is all subjective opinion away from the actual entity of the words
Right.
itself, because what you're voting on is not an individual. You're voting on some type of issue du jour within a municipality.
Right.
Yeah.
But if an entity, this is just the one that comes to mind because we fought for just cause eviction so much in my district. If the landlords association were to AI create something that said this ballot item will raise your taxes 600%, that is materially false, but they are not a candidate.
Why does that hang out?
If we remove the language, including a public question, it wouldn't exclude a public question from the,
Question for me.
I
yes.
think so. I think it's time for your ears to
I recall the Senate GovOps committee wanted to make sure that those types of elections were included. And my response was they are, but if you want these creators to be on notice that it does include public questions, then it doesn't hurt to include it. So my answer is a long-winded, yes, they're included, but when you explicitly put it there, it makes it even more abundantly clear that we are also including public questions.
Hang on.
So I think I like the inclusion of the public question as sort of a belts and suspenders. It makes it much more clear to me. And now I'm thinking about this individual versus political candidate. And I really like Senator Collimore's example of Taylor Swift, who is not a political candidate at this moment, coming out and saying something in an altered video that she really didn't say, because we have it later on. It did not occur. Not to vote on the whatever in South Burlington. I like that example. That makes it really clear to me that the realistic representation of someone doing or saying something false could be of anyone saying something false or doing something false. So Rick, my question was, at one point I heard that this would not be defensible in a court of law.
Less
now-
defensible.
Or less defensible, sorry. But now it's appearing more clear to me that altering anyone's words or appearance in an advertisement that will unduly affect the outcome of an election should be defensible. Yes, no, maybe.
So I have one court decision to go on, right? And this is California District Court that said the California law was unconstitutional. It's one judge. And I told every committee that has asked me about this, every member that's asked me about it on and offline, that it is, one court. However, it's a ruling we should put in our library of things to think about here. I think my main concern with expanding it to individual is you are expanding the restriction on the First Amendment. Doesn't mean it's unconstitutional. It just means you're now lumping in more speech, which when the government regulates speech, even though it's not a ban, you are requiring a disclaimer, your red flags go off because it's something the government normally doesn't do. You have to have a really good reason. And in this case, the reason is elections are really, really an important thing. And the state wants to make sure it is a well, clean, not fraudulent election. And to that extent, you are passing this law that requires these ads that are created with AI or technology to have a disclaimer. It's going to be we don't have a Supreme Court decision. We don't have even an appeals court decision. But when you open it up to any individual being depicted, you're just widening the scope. And that's all I've said. It's probably less defensible, but you still have the idea of trying to maintain the integrity of elections, which is a compelling interest the government has.
Okay, I got Waters Evans, Hango, Vahoski in there.
Yeah. So when we were talking about this in the House, we went through a lot when we were discussing this bill after it first came over from you. And that was and continues to be the sticking point for me and why we made these changes, and really for the rest of the committee, was this idea of restricting free speech in any way. And I know satire and parody are covered, but also I think even if it's Taylor Swift, even if it's Jesus, whoever, we think is going to be like the ultimate influencer of everybody else, it's really, it makes it so unclear, I think, as to say who is of influence, how are they going to influence, where does this person fall in the scale of most influential to least, and what the outcome is going to be. Those are things that we cannot predict. We only have what we have to go on right now, which is we don't want to restrict anyone's right to make these things. They can make them all they want. They just have to include this disclosure, right? I think having the disclosure itself, I don't know. I really feel worried. And I feel like the spirit of the changes that we made in the first place were because we were so worried about restricting free speech. And it is, you know, arguably one of the most important thing we've got going for us right now. And I feel like putting any limits on that, A, is just dangerous and unacceptable. And B, also, I don't think we should be passing a law that doesn't have the teeth behind it to really to stick with it. You know what I mean? I feel like we change laws every session, every year. We change laws from before. I feel like if we start with something that's sound, I think if we start with something that we feel like is going to be a really good path forward, and then we want to expand on it later, if, you know, something else happens or there are court rulings in other state that give us some guidance, we can always change it. But I feel like we should start with like the firmest footing possible.
So I just want to point out, we have
Yeah, no,
a
I got
floor
you on the
and
clock.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
so we probably ought to
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
the next meeting too.
Yes. And so I want to just take a moment for chair's prerogative here. We're I want to reaffirm the point where all of these points are very, very valid and tangible, but focusing on the defensibility of this being our first law that is going to go into effect for this election cycle, because this is on passage and the Secretary of State's office is waiting for it to start implementing it once we're done wordsmithing. So the defensibility of it,
Mhm.
in my opinion, outweighs some of the intent for this first foray into this bucket of law. Got Hango, I got Mahosky, and then we got to hone things in because you all got to get before 7 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So this is very naive of me. But first of all, these types of laws are really new, right? We don't know where this is going to go. So that's removed from the next thing I'm going to say. This is my naive thing. Free speech to me equals truthful speech, unless it's a parody or satire. So I feel like, and this is a question, the disclaimer is only limiting media that is knowingly falsely created. And when you Google free speech, one of the limits on it is defamation, which is libel and slander. And some of these instances that we've been talking about sort of fall into that for me. But this isn't the end of this discussion, so I'll yield to the senator for final comments.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. And I think the really important piece for me is providing materially false information. It is not just anyone says anything about an election. It is that they have provided materially false information with the intent to influence the election. So there's all kinds of speech, including some of the examples that would not be covered. It is a disclaimer. And the reality of it is we don't know what's going to be defensible or not defensible because it's such a new area. And given, for me, the importance of elections and the increasing ways we've seen interference in elections, protecting our elections feels of the utmost importance. And I don't want to always just be playing catch up the next time something terrible happens.
So could we meet tomorrow? One of the issues that we have is Senator Morley won't be here after tomorrow. 11:30 work? Just a suggestion, you'll have to lead health and welfare and you would have to lead judiciary.
Yeah, I will have to.
Or should we try?
We actually have nothing
We're wide
scheduled.
open.
I have that as a hold slot.
All right. I'm sure I can lead Senate Ag.
Okay. Do you want to call it at 11 or 11:30? I think 11.
11:30 is probably, because we will be meeting and I don't.
Okay, then we'll push into lunch.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll all
So what time?
sleep on it and come back and say, you know what? That's right.
I need to see what's on the agenda and if it can, for judiciary.
It's just one possible
Yep.
time.
11:30 works for me.
Okay,
My agenda is not loading, so I don't know if it will work.
So where we are right now is the sticking point is the individual to political candidate.
Correct.
That's how
The way I see it,
the
yeah.
structure.
that's exactly it.
But I guess we should say that we agree with most of what,
Yeah.
the House agrees with most of what the Senate.
Yeah, I think we're
has.
85% of the way home right now. If I was gonna do soft
I'm
math.
helping
Yeah.
you with your agenda.
Yes.
Well, I don't have to do hard math.
Wednesday.
I used to like math.
I'm an idea
11
guy.
o'clock. At 10:40, you're listening to S.23 CoC, Act relating to standards for law enforcement identification.
Okay. Is there a vote on that? Because I think we're
Nope,
interesting.
no, just discussion, and then you have nothing until 1 o'clock at the floor. So 11:30.
Depending on how-
45
yeah.
minutes.
Depending on how long that discussion goes, I could probably 11:30 work.
All right.
Great.
That is not a bill I can just bail on.
No,
That's
I
pretty-
understand what that bill is. I didn't even have to hear I heard the number and I knew what was being discussed. Yes. So I understand that. So what we'll do is we will put down like a 11:30 start time with some built-in flexibility for Senator Bohosky and that policy discussion in Senate Judiciary, but we'll sit down tomorrow and work out this final piece, and your light is flashing. So with that, great first meeting, folks. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
And you can take us off, Nick. We will reconvene tomorrow at 8.